Hello folks, welcome to another video. This is my review of the Sony PlayStation 5. Now this is a long-term review. I've had this system since launch and I thought I'd give you my thoughts on it, having had it for such a long time now. So you may have seen I've done a review of the controller already, a long-term review of that, and nothing's changed there. It still works brilliantly, still looks great and feels great to use. So what's the system itself like and how has it improved? Well, now, for example, you can put things into more of an organized state on the screen. So you can no longer put things as folders like you used to be able to do. However, you can put them in folders within the game library if you wish, which is kind of useful, I suppose, but not as useful as having them in folders on the main screen. So what's the main screen like to use compared to a PS4? Overall, I think it's nicer. You get more available content that's easily accessible straight from the screen, like the trophies and things like that, who plays the game with you, all this sort of thing. Your most recent games are up here. That can be the most recent games you played or the ones that you've just downloaded. For example, these that I've downloaded on PlayStation Plus. So let's talk about PlayStation Plus. I go for the premium one, which gets you a lot of content, arguably too much content really for one person to play, much like Xbox Live. So there's a ton of stuff on here. You get game trials, you've got collections up here, for example these games that are included already, as you can see here, monthly games that you get your PlayStation Plus monthly games, as well as the games that go into like this collection, like these recently added ones, which I've downloaded but I have yet to find the time to play. Now this costs about it's over £100 a year, but monthly then it's not too bad if you think of it that way. You get reduced prices on games as well, so that's another good benefit. You can cloud stream some games if your internet's up to it. The PlayStation Store on PS5 loads basically instantaneously. There's no delays or anything. The only downside, of course, as with any digital store, is that the games can tend to be more expensive than they would be if you bought them physically, which is kind of strange because there's no distribution required. It's just a server somewhere. But sometimes they're cheaper, but generally it still makes sense to buy them physically. You can access all your subscriptions and whatnot from here as well, and cancel or renew them or whatever. All your games line up here. If you press the shoulder buttons, you get your media. You get all the latest media on PlayStation 5, so there's no issues with that. You can go to your game library and you can see everything that's PS5 or that's stored on the extended storage. I can highly recommend getting USB extended storage if you've got a lot of PS4 games you want to play. There's a good range of settings as well on PlayStation 5. You've got good network options, you've got Wi-Fi and Ethernet. You can go through all your user accounts, set up controls for how long people can play and whatnot. You've got all your system settings. You can go onto a new latest beta, for example. You can control your HDMI settings. You can control whether or not the consoles can download things in the background. Got all this sort of thing on there. You've also got access to your storage. I can highly recommend getting extended M.2 storage for the PS5. It's not that expensive anymore, and it's very easy to fit and get formatted and whatnot. And as some of these games are quite large, I really recommend that. You've got various sound options. You have 3D speaker support now for your headsets, and I believe for the TVs as well. Yeah. Of course, I have a surround sound system, so I don't use this, but I've been told, and in the tests that I have done, it is pretty good. You've got various video options, 1440p. My TV doesn't do that. As you can see, my TV doesn't support a lot of these options. It is a classic 4K TV, but it doesn't support the absolute newest options. You can do voice control as well. That works pretty well. I'll give you a quick sample of that. Hey PlayStation, open Hogwarts Legacy. and as you can see, go straight into the game. So that works quite well. So what of the games on PS5? Well, there's quite a good amount of options. Obviously, being a Sony console, there's a ton of games, ton of exclusives as well, like God of War, The Last of Us. In my opinion, a lot of these games tend to run slightly better on here than on the Xbox Series X. As you can see, Hogwarts Legacy here, near enough instantaneous loading in. I select my character, and you can count the seconds, I'm into the game, right back where I left off. As you can see, 60 frames per second. Most games now on PS5 have fidelity options or performance options. I prefer to run in performance, but you could run it in ray tracing mode, but then you have to deal with 30 frames per second. I think if you're going to go ray tracing, it really makes sense to get a gaming PC where you could probably hit 60 frames per second with DLSS turned on, but obviously that's not an option on the PlayStation 5. So, is the PS5 worth it? Absolutely. Has it gone up in price? Yes, and that is annoying, but it's not a large increase in price. I think it was around £20, so it's not all that bad. You've got a huge range of digital content. You've got, if you play for PlayStation Plus Premium, you've got a huge range of additional games, PS4 games, PS3 games, and PS1 and PS2. You've got a huge range of content, way too much for anyone to ever play, in all honesty. There's tons and tons of stuff on here. The games are getting more expensive. That is one downside, but that's the same across most platforms. Obviously, being a PS5, most of the games have excellent graphics, and you tend to get free upgrades. For example, Resident Evil 3 had a free upgrade to be a PS5 game with higher frame rates and better graphics. So it's definitely worth getting a PS5, in my opinion. It will never be a true gaming PC in terms of graphics and ability, but for what you pay for one of these, you get a huge range of content, excellent graphics, brilliant sound, various sound options as well. It's truly a sort of all-in-one console, really. And I'm glad I bought one on launch day, and I've enjoyed it ever since. Brilliant machine. So I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, please consider giving it a like, comment, subscribe, check out my Patreon, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.